Welcome guys to a battlecast, this time with the Dark Elves, and I'm facing up against Bretonnia. So quite interesting matchup over here, and let's directly go to my army composition. So I have a front line of Dread Spears, 3 groups, and in the middle over here one single group of Haganif Executioners. And these guys are in my opinion quite important because they really slice and dice foot squires, and at least one group should be in this in a build of the Dark Elves against Bretonnia, in my opinion. So and the Dread Spears, of course, anti-large for enemy cavalry charge-ins and stuff like that. But of course, these guys will not perform really well against foot squires, and also pilgrims should annihilate them. Should annihilate these Dread Spears. So I'm not sure. But a quite cheap frontline unit, and these guys have a silver shield in my opinion. Yeah, they have a silver shield even if the armor overall is quite low, so you can can put them in the front line. And directly behind that I have Witch Elves, and I have 4 groups. And of course I know 4 groups are maybe not not the best choice. It's a little bit much, but we will see. Against foot squires, I'm not sure. These ladies, their AP values are not really high. But even though against pilgrims and all that stuff, they should perform quite well. And I know, maybe 4 groups are a little bit much, but overall we will see how they perform. Then I have Dark Shards 2 group, and in my last line Haganif Executioners. And of course quite expensive to protect just your back line. I have one single group over here. But Bretonnia typically bring a lot of cavalry units, and they typically try to attack your back line. And also Bretonnia typically has a lot of high tier cavalry, so I thought these Blackguard of Nagorod will do a good job in my last line to protect my Dark Shards. Then I have Malekith, and this time not on a not on a Black Dragon, of course. This time on this Cold one. And this is especially very good because the Black Dragon is very easy to snipe. You can snipe out the Black Dragon with a Malekith very easy with the Royal Pegasus Knights, and also with Goon Squads and all that stuff. So of course I can recommend to bring a Malekith on foot or on the Cold one. And then of course another group of Dread Spears, and then over here I have Death Hag, and the Death Hag always good against all infantry. Causing a lot of trouble in the front line. But of course we have to be careful that your Death Hag is not engaged, especially against Bretonnia, against cavalry. So cavalry can kill these, anti-large cavalry can kill this Death Hag quite fast. And also it's also of course Royal Pegasus Knights, so we have to be careful. Maybe in some cases not really a good pick, but let's see how this works in this game over here. So let's go to my opponent, and let's directly go in this on the side, on the left flank over here. And over here we have mounted yeoman archers. And in my opinion not a good pick, because these guys causing nearly no armor piercing missile damage, so we have just 3, and this is really not really good, especially against the Dark Elves, because the Dark Elves are typically quite well armored. So in my opinion not really a good pick in this case. Then we have a quite steady front line of pilgrims, and the front line is not so good for me, so the pilgrims I can deal with them. But we have foot squires over here, and the foot squires are really elite infantry unit and very good, and especially against my Dread Spears and all that stuff, they perform quite well. Against the Witch Elves I'm not sure, because the foot squires are not so heavily armored for a high tier unit, so we have just 70, even if the AP values of the Witch Elves is not really high. We will see how this works out. The Haganif Executioners of course will slice and dice these guys, but I have just 1 unit of Haganif Executioners in this case. So we have a Grey Reliquary, we have a Fey Enchantress, we have a Peasant Bowman over here, Pox Arrows and Fire Arrows, last line, Spearmen and Arms, and also on the sides. But more interesting over here are the Grey Knights, and these guys are a little bit too expensive in my opinion. Of course, these guys are anti-large, but there are not so much large units on Dark Elf roster or Dark Elf builds, competitive builds, that these guys can deal with. So I wouldn't bring these guys. I would bring mid-range cavalry or more infantry, because it's too expensive. And also with the Grail Guardians, there is no need for these Grail Guardians. It's too much. But anyway, let's start the fight over here. We have a charge in, and yeah, we will see how this works out.
Moving out. Show no mercy. Moving out.
So a wild fight going on. Yeah, also Chillwind going down over here, and you can see this spot over here breaks immediately. This foot squires melted away, and now I, of course, I directly move forward. Always, as I always say, if a spot breaks in the middle or in the front line, directly push forward, push everything away. So my foot squires, my Hug of the Executioners and these Witch Elves are on the way to the back line to cause them a lot of trouble. So over here we have a charge in of the Grail Guardians, and yeah, but also here the Spearmen at Arms were not able to hold the line. They are not routing off now. Now my Witch Elves fighting these Grail Guardians. And yeah, in the back line, of course, he tried to flank me, of course, with these Grey Knights. And for this case, of course, I have my Blackguard of Naggaroth, and I of course noticed that and tried to protect my Dark Shots over here. Well, Dark Shots causing a lot of trouble, even if they are also taking a lot of damage, especially from the Peasant Bowman. Very good gameplay from my opponent. So he tried, of course, directly to snipe out my Dark Shots with his Peasant Bowman, because the Dark Shots are not very heavily armored. The amount of armor is just 30. But over here, quite interesting. I managed it really well to fight off to these Grail Guardians. And as I said, this is a very expensive unit overall, but a group of Witch Elves in combination with Dread Spears were able to kill these guys. So as I said, it's too much money in this matchup. I wouldn't leave these guys completely and take more infantry or low tier or mid-range cavalry, therefore more in quantity. So okay, yeah, let's continue over here. And in the back line, I caused a lot of trouble with the Death Hack. Some units are shattered already, and of course the Fey Enchantress. I attacked the Fey Enchantress with my Malekith direct, so that I have, yeah, the Fey Enchantress dies quite fast. So on the back line, nothing special. I managed it really well to create a little box over here to protect my back Dark Shots from the charge-ins, or from the still yeah, it's quite healthy Grey Knights over here. And also these mounted yeoman archers are here in the back line shooting on my Dark Shots, and this is also quite good gameplay from my opponent, cause as I said, these guys causing not so much AP damage, but against the Dark Shots the performance is okay. So they are quite good to snipe out enemy missile infantry.
Die, weaklings! Onwards to murder!
So we are also a little bit micromanagement, protecting this side over here. And now he found the gap, and unfortunately, but very well played, directly in my Dark Shots. And yeah, my Dark Shots took a lot of damage from that. You can see that, incredible. So very good gameplay over here, and of course after that I noticed that, and I chased the Grey Knights away. But overall, that's it. You can see a chain route over here. That's everything, and yeah, GG. So quite a surprise was for me. As I said in the beginning, 4 units are maybe a little bit too much, because I thought if he brings a lot of foot squares, the Witch Elves are going to die really fast. But we can see the Witch Elves performing superior against these, even against these foot squares. As I said, the reason for this is probably because the foot squares are not so heavily armored, and yeah, you can see 4 groups, kill rate, very good. over here. Yeah, so nothing more to say about that. Thank you for your attention and see you on the next Battlecast. Have a nice evening.